Alright everyone, welcome back to the ZHP Garage. I hope you guys are all doing well. Some late night work going down in the ZHP Garage today. We're going to be finishing up the engine and tranny completely, 100% done, ready to be bolted in to the engine bay once we are finished with the powder coating of the frame like we've already talked about in the previous videos, which is coming up after this video. But for now, you got to stay tuned, watch till the end to see us completing the engine and transmission. We're going to be bolting the flywheel in, the clutch, and all sorts of other stuff. So if you guys have not already and you enjoy the content here, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you are notified every time we upload a video, and you guys will be able to stay tuned. You won't miss out on what's going on. Let's get with the Master Mechanic. Let's check this thing out.
What's going on, YouTube? We're back. We got the Nova engine on the stand here. Got it ready. We're going to flip it over. We got the F-body woodless tray showed up. We're finally getting some parts. We got the brand new tray. So this one's supposed to fit this retro oil pan with minimal modifications, minimal massaging. So that's good. So we got that. We got the correct flywheel. Surprised I didn't get corrected because last time I said that this one was a 2004. They didn't make it come around 2004. I was thinking 2014. So I think this is a 2014 is what I ordered this one, this flywheel. That's not correct. So the tranny is a 98 to 02. So we got a flywheel for that and everything works good now. The clutch is for 9802. So everything's working out great now. And then we have our ARP bolts bolted to the crankshaft. And then we just got the 10.9, which is equivalent to like a grade 8 in American. So we're just mocking it up here, making sure that all fits good. So we're good there. And you can see the difference here. See the step on the newer ones. This is the difference. This one's all flat. So that's the difference in the flywheels. The mounting, thickness here is the same. Then we're going to take it off the stand. Flywheel, the clutch. We're going to bolt it to the tranny. We're going to mate them together for hopefully last time. So let's get to doing. We're going to start by flipping this thing over, taking the pan off here. We're going to do it kind of carefully and slow. We have enough clearance, but we still want to careful flipping it. I normally hold the head and just ease it around. Make sure it's not going to just all of a sudden fling and kick itself off the stand. So we've got a couple bolts in this pan. We'll just zap them out real quick. So you see how low it is in the front. That's the problem we're having with the stock tray. All the assembly lube and everything is running down, making a mess. Make sure it's not full of dirt. See how it fits. And this is for an F-body oil pan, is what Holly recommends to go with that oil pan. So that's why we got this one. And it looks pretty low, so I'm just going to set it here, and then I want to set the pan back on it, see if it'll go down flush without a gasket in there. And then I know the thickness of the gasket, that I'll have a little bit of clearance in there. A little bit of space. Clearance. Let's see what we got. See, it has an issue in the front here. But it says if you use a stock tray, that you have to cut this front section off. I was trying to avoid that. So according to the instructions, you can see here that the F-body trays, that's one I got. They just talk about having to modify it for the pickup tube, and you can see here why it hits right here in the front because it's such a low profile in the front of the pan that it hits right here on the corner and it's not going into the oil pump. So I guess it doesn't matter either way. The stock one, it wants you to cut this whole front section off, which would kill two birds because then the pickup tube would fit and then the oil pan will fit. So it looks like that's what I'm going to wind up doing. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to cut it just so there's enough for the nut to hold down here. You can always go a little bit more, probably pretty much right on the edge. These little louvers right here. I'm going to cut it across, see how it fits in. So hold that thought. So we got it cut back here, and then we also had to massage it a little bit. You can see how it we had to beat on it a little bit. Kind of radius it down. You can see where the pan comes right here, and it radiuses over because this was coming out straight. It was hitting right here, and it's still holding the pan up in the front. So you can see now that we massage it down and that the pan fits just like it's supposed to. It's close in there, but the thickness of the gasket is going to bring it up, so it'll be a good amount of clearance. It'll work out good. So now we're going to clean this pan up. Then on the pickup, there's like 2 or 3, I think, different O-rings. So you have a blue, a green, and a black. So according to the instructions on this thing, it says to use the black one. We're just going to put some oil assembly lube on the O-ring. Put this all in here. We got to put the pickup in first. Be careful on this thing because this is radiused here, but it's sharp, you know, on the top. So you can, if you get a little off and cram it, you can still cut it up here on the top. So kind of be ginger with it. Try to get it down to the radius before you start really shoving it. All right, so we got it all on. We got the pickup on it, tray on it. We're gonna torque it down. We're gonna do these 18 foot-pounds. You gotta be careful on these because if you over torque them, you're just gonna squish it down and make a mess. You can't keep tightening it. That's why you kind of want to be careful and torque it. And you can see on the pickup here on the other side that I had to cut it back a little bit more because of this little bend. It was hitting it, so I had to notch it a little bit more. Watch out for that too if you're doing this on your car. And then we also added a little bit of Loctite to the hold down for the pickup there, or go bolts into the oil pump. You don't want to lose your oil pump. Pickup there at 7,000 RPMs or something, you know. Now I'm just going to torque this to 89 inch-pounds, just like that. There we go. So we got the pickup with this tray dialed. So now we need to get our pan gasket. So I just want to double check really quick. I'm going to turn it over by hand. I just want to make sure because I radius the front of this a little bit. I want to make sure that the pan or the crank's not going to come up and catch this anywhere, and that the rods, other cylinders are going to clear it. Looking like it can turn over. Not hate anything. You see here when the 1 and 2 rod comes up, that's why it has this in the oil pan, is to have room for that. It's close. Plenty of room. Crank's not going to grow, so I'm going to get a clean rag, spray the rag, a little bit of brake cleaner. I'm going to give it a wipe all the way around. You see where you have where the rear cover comes together and the front cover comes together. You want to put some silicone. Just want to do a dot right in that little gap there. Make sure, because you got this rubber flat, has a little crater there, so it fills a little void, so you don't get a little oil leak. It seals you up. You can see this goes on one direction. Set it on here. The original pan gasket that was on here was riveted on, so this one's not riveted. So the gaskets get a little tweaked in the shipping in the boxes, so you kind of gotta line it up. We're gonna put this way a little bit. So we're gonna take a rag to catch all the mess. I'm gonna spray out this whole inside of the oil pan. Brake cleaner is the best. Takes out stains out of clothes and everything. Some of this might have got in there because it was sitting with no gasket, so you could have, you know, got some dirt and stuff in it, and it didn't have the side cover on it. Don't be afraid to use that brake cleaner. It's cheaper than an engine. Super exciting stuff right here. Super exciting stuff. Extra time cleaning out your oil pan, though, is worth it. This thing's been in the car getting mocked up, metal shavings. After wiping it out, you're gonna get little fuzzies in here from the rag, if you're using a normal rag. So you can give it a blow, blow all the fuzzies out of it. And you can see it's got these 4 mounting points inside of the pan. This little tray goes in there, this little baffle. So you blow these out. Make sure you have a rag so you don't get blasted in the face. So it wouldn't hurt. You can put a dab of Loctite on these. If it comes loose, it's not gonna, you know, make the engine blow up or anything. It's gonna mess up your baffling a little bit. Comes with the 4 bolts. I'm gonna put a dab of Loctite on them. If you're gonna torque these, it'd probably be like 89 inch-pounds, but I'm just gonna give them do it by hand, give them a good tighten. One last. Okay, and being that there's no gaps on the top side, there's no silicone. Kind of got to line up your pickup a little bit, then just put your factory bolts back in it. 13 normal bolts and 2 long bolts. So you got to work your way around and make sure your gasket's all lined up. See right here, it got a little tweaked in shipping, so these bolt holes here need a little help. And once you get them all in, these are 18 foot-pounds you torque the oil pan to. This is when it's important that all your covers are lined up, because if you have it off, you can snap this ear off the corner of the pan back here. So this is when it's critical to line it all up. This gasket's going to squish down, so you're going to want to probably go around it a few times. And when you torque, you want to do constant pressure, and you don't want to stop until it clicks. Alright, so now we got all the 10mm headed bolts torqued. Now we're going to torque the back two here to 89 inch-pounds. Well, I guess they're all 10mm headed, but the bigger bolts. Alright, pan's on it, no more dripping on the ground. So we have these 2 plugs that are just in there hand tight. So you can run a turbo on this thing. This would be oil return. So we got to seal these up. So we're going to put a little Teflon paste on these ones. This one here has a little tape on it. I'm going to probably pull that tape off of there. I like the paste better. This is why I don't really care for Teflon tape, because if it comes off, if you have too much on here and you screw it in and then you got this on the inside, then it could suck it up into your pickup and get this in your oil pump, and it's just not good. I like to use the paste, then you don't have a big old string floating around in your engine. Then I just run it around with my finger so it's even. So then wipe off the inside. Then this is a pipe fitting, so it's not, it's kind of by feel. You don't get super crazy with it. It's more of a by hand. Then you have your little extra of paste. You just wipe off the outside so you don't have this blob. Same thing. Super exciting stuff. So that's good and sealed. So now you see that the oil filter doesn't have the adapter in the center. So this pan comes with a little adapter, which is right here. And same thing. I'm gonna put a little bit of Loctite. So I put a little Loctite on it, and then according to the instructions, this gets torqued to 40 foot-pounds, 40. So now we can put an oil filter on it. Just want to make sure that the gasket surface nice and clean. Got our nice AC Delco oil filter, all factory here. We put some oil on the O-ring, on the gasket, on the O-ring. So just run it down by hand. So now we need to install our block-off plate right here. We're not going to be running an oil cooler on this thing, so we're just going to cap that. So this pan gasket set comes with everything. Comes with the block-off, comes with the gasket, the bolts, the whole deal. And these are going to be torqued to 89 inch-pounds also. There we go. Got the pan sealed up, no more dripping on the floor, no more leaking from anywhere. So now the engine is completely done. The dipstick's the only thing that's not in it, that's still open, so we'll put a cap in there to make sure nothing gets in there while it's sitting. We're gonna leave it out because you gotta put the headers on first. So we're gonna get some brake cleaner on a rag. We're gonna wipe this pan up, clean it up, because all the oil that leaked out made it look horrible. So last thing, don't forget to tighten up your drain plug. You can see that when you do the silicone, you don't want it, you just want it barely splooging out. So that's why you don't need that much, because it'll squish it down. So anyways, so we got the pan done. So that's good. Finally finished. We're gonna flip it over. We're gonna come back tomorrow, put the flywheel and the clutch on it. Get the cherry picker out. We're gonna get all this on here. So we're back the next day here. So we got the engine, the oil pan, everything finished up. We got the dipstick in it. Bolt's a little long, but it's just temporary. Gotta take it back out, put the headers on it. So now we're gonna take it off the engine stand. We're gonna grab it with the cherry picker. And then we're going to put the flywheel on it now, the pilot bushing, all that good stuff. Then we're going to mate it up. We're going to make it become one. It's going to bond with the tranny. They're going to come together. We got the tranny here. Set up the cherry picker. Pick the engine up. So we got it here. We got it on the cherry picker now. Got the stand out of the way. We got our ARP flywheel bolts. Got some dirt on them. Been sitting around for a couple days. So we're going to use the ARP lubricant on this. Then we're going to torque it to their specs, not the factory spec. 85 foot-pounds. That's what we're torquing, just a straight 85. We got our bolts, got them cleaned up. So we're going to put our lube on here. All right, so we got all of our bolts already here. The flywheel, make sure there's no stuff on the back. It's got a spot where like a dowel pin would be. You want to line it up. Line up the holes. So there's a couple different ways you can hold, because now we need to hold the engine from turning over. So there's a tool they make that bolts on here and it goes into the teeth that holds the engine from turning over. I'm not luxurious enough to have that tool. So I'm just gonna use a little ring gear tool to use turning over the engine to hold it in place, and then I'm gonna torque it. So when I torque it, I'm not just gonna do the 85 all at one time. I'm gonna do it in stages. So I snugged it down right now. So I have it at 60, so I'm going to go 60 and then I'll go to the 85. So this thing's spring loaded, so the engine's going to rotate this way, so I need to hold it the opposite. You could put it on here, so you can use a screwdriver or something here on the dowel to hold it. I'll just put it here. This is kind of nice because it's spring loaded, so it holds itself, so you can get your torque wrench set up. Then you kind of want to do a crisscross. So we'll hold it here. Come down, and also the spark plugs are in here, so the engine compression's kind of helping it too, hold it in place. So now we got them all at 60. So now we'll go up to the 85 for the final torque, and we'll do the same thing. We'll do the crisscross, but we might need to be a little more straight on leverage with it here. And in case you lost your rhythm in the crisscross, and you could double check it and go around in a circle. All right, there we go. Flywheel is on. You see we have the right ring gear starter combination, starters on it, so It's all good. So now we're gonna put the pilot bushing. You can see how one side is more squared and one side's got more of a radius. You wanna put the radius to the side with the input shaft so it helps line it up as you're wiggling it, trying to line the tranny up. So I'm just gonna use something, you can use something a little bit bigger than this diameter so when it hits the crankshaft, or just watch it coming in, but you want it flush with this step right here. So I'm just gonna use a socket. It has, it's good same size. You wanna watch it because you wanna drive this even with this lip right here. Watching you're beating it, make sure you're going in straight. Right even with it. So now we have our bushing in it. Then you can use the alignment tool. But first we wanna wipe this off with a brake cleaner. We want to clean this up before we put the clutch on it. So wipe it down, wipe around these bolts, make sure there's not a whole bunch of the high pressure ARP lube and fling around, get on the clutch later. So I want to do the same to the pressure plate. But the clutch, on the other hand, is you don't want to touch it and you don't really want to clean it. Just leave it the way it is. And then this thing, so obviously you can't go this way because it won't sit on the flywheel. So this goes pressure plate side. Smooth side goes to the flywheel. You take your little alignment tool, line it up with the pilot bushing, and you hold it all in place for you. So then I'm going to put some Loctite on all the pressure plate bolts in addition to the lock washer. And this one probably do a little bit more because I definitely don't want the clutch to come loose. And then you don't want to touch that. You got to hold this up here. Just get one started at a time, and you can help if you're confident that it's straight. Got a little screw gun. Get it started, but you don't want to cock it, so just get it started, and you can start one over here and straighten out. Then you don't have to hold it anymore. So now that all the bolts are started, you can see that the clutch can actually sag down on the alignment tool. You still have play in it. So before you tighten it up, you want to split the difference of the clutch so you can line up the input shaft. So you can see it sagging down, so you see how much it's moving. So you want to pick it up a little bit to get it. You don't want to go way up top. Just split the difference, and you can kind of feel the clutch like flatten out on the flywheel. So you just want to pull it up a little bit, and then you want to go in a crisscross, and then once you tighten it down, it'll hold it in place. And then you can see the forks start to expand when you tighten it down. When this tightens down, there's gonna be no gap. So you got to run it. You see those little bit of gaps still? See, it's gonna suck it all the way down to it. Go around it, get it all. It's gonna have. You kind of got to work it down because of the spring pressure on the pressure plate. But once you get it down, you can see the alignment tool, there's no tension on it. You can just, lines right up. So now we're going to torque the pressure plate bolts. They're just a grade 8, so I'm probably going to torque them to probably like 35 foot-pounds. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my little holder. I don't think it would spin on 35 foot-pounds, but I already went around it. All right, so I got a deep socket because the head of the torque wrench was kind of catching right here, so I'm gonna start it over again. Kind of works as an extension, so you can get away from it a little bit. Got the clutch all torqued, and you can see how it fits. It's all the way down seated. See, it's all the way touching the flywheel. So that clutch is pinching there, so we'll have good. It'll grab good. It'll handle the power. So now we're gonna lower this down. We have to finish bolting up the throwout bearing in here. I just have this one bolt. It's not really long enough. I got to grab a couple bolts here real quick. Then we can bolt the tranny to the engine. So let me grab a couple bolts. I'll finish bolting this in. All right, so I got a couple bolts. It's kind of funny. These are Ford Power Stroke oil feed line bolts to hold it into the cooler. So I put a dab of Loctite on the end of it because I don't want any bolts bouncing around in the bell housing here. So before you get this far, you want to make sure that your clutch is the right spline. We already checked it. The clutch goes on the splines, but sometimes not the right clutch. Good thing to check it first. So we're going to put a little bit of anti-seize on the dowels here, on the transmission, just in case we ever got to come apart again. We don't want, because this has got, aluminum on aluminum. Get a little moisture in there, start rusting, and thing gets all seized up. Then we're going to put a little bit of grease on the input shaft because it's going into a bushing. Obviously you don't want a dry bushing. Then we're going to lower this engine down. We're going to put it together. Got a little grease on our input here, and it wouldn't hurt. You could put a little bit on the splines. Don't get crazy because it'll fling out and get on your clutch, but you can put a little just to help the discs float around a little bit on the shaft. So now we're all ready to go. We got the bell housing here is all cleaned out. We're going to lower this thing down here. Level this engine down a little bit more. See if we can make it. Jack it up just a hair. Kick the back of this up a little bit. Oh, here we go. We're getting somewhere. Oh, close. Pull yourself together. I don't think our splines are lining up. me turn the engine over a little bit, see if I can get her clutch to line up with her splines. All right, we got it. We got it. There's a little bit of work. The input shaft was pretty tight on the pilot bearing or pilot bushing, but we got it together. So all completed. This is gonna be the pressure line, hydraulic line for the throw bearing. It's all dialed, man. Thing's trick. Turned out nice. Got all the bolts in it. Got 8 bell housing bolts, so it's definitely not gonna go anywhere. The one's bolted into the pan off the showroom floor at 65. It's gonna be trick. So we're gonna tuck the engine away. We're gonna put it out of the way over here. We're gonna get working on the engine. We're gonna get working on the car now. We're gonna finish up the other floor, get the AC mounted, get the front end off of it, get it to powder coat. So come on back, man, check it out. We're gonna get this Nova done.
All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the late night work we have done to the 65 Nova. Master Mechanic says he's running on 2 cylinders of 8. We need to do a compression check to him and get him back running on all 8 cylinders. Let us know down in the comments what you think of the combination we got going on with Tremec 6-speed, LS3, all factory, you know, the factory setup like it came off the showroom floor. If a 65 Nova was made in 2011, 2012, this is what it would be like. In our heads, this is what we envision. So if you haven't seen other videos on the Nova, you got it right here. If you haven't seen other stuff on the channel, you can check it out right here. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.